Welcome to the Israel Daily News Podcast. I'm your host, Shanna Fold, and I'm here to get you caught up quickly. I've got some top news stories for you today from Israel, and guess what? You're listening, so you're already on top of your game. Survive and thrive, people. Knowledge is the best weapon. Today is Monday, June 30th, 2025 in the Gregorian calendar, and the 5th of Tammuz in the Hebrew calendar. Now, let's get to the news. I was just looking back into the past Israel Daily News scripts and seeing how much things have changed in just the last 3 weeks. Only 3 podcasts ago, I was discussing the major gay pride event and parade set to happen in Tel Aviv. It was on that day that Iran began striking back on Israel after Israel completed a major operation completely decimating nuclear sites in Iran. The strikes began on Friday, and by Sunday morning at 4 a.m., my personal apartment was hit by a ballistic missile, completely destroying my personal home and the Israel Daily News studio, which I built by hand. The date was June 16th. Since then, I have been homeless, although the city of Tel Aviv has thankfully put me up in a hotel nearby. At first, they gave me 1 week and then bumped it up to a month. I've been trying to get out work from friends' homes, from the dark desk in my hotel room, and I've been recording whatever I can record from the apartment of a charitable young woman who is stuck outside of the country. Flo, short for Florence, offered me her place, and it's been a safe haven where I was able to wash clothing, write, and record in peace. My biggest concern right now is the Iran-Israel threat. Will this ceasefire hold? Can I let my guard down in Tel Aviv? Friday night on Shabbat, though as an observant Jew, I'm not supposed to carry or hold on to or use electronics or money, I went to dinner with my purse, with my money, with my passport, and a couple of things that I might need in case of an emergency. For me, survival mode is still at play, not only because I was robbed of my jewelry by a looter who entered my busted up apartment just hours after the missile hit, but also because I have personal fears that Iran will hit us when we get comfortable. Let's get into it and see what the experts say. Although the Israel-Iran ceasefire is currently holding, Israeli and American officials warned that renewed fighting could erupt within weeks. The core tensions, especially over Iran's nuclear program, are not resolved, and this keeps the ceasefire fragile. Israeli leaders fear a rolling war scenario with short but intense rounds of conflict, potentially spreading across Lebanon, Syria, and the Persian Gulf. A single event, such as an assassination or terrorist attack, could quickly reignite hostilities, with Israel vowing to maintain full military freedom. Both sides must continue exercising restraint, but the deeper issues behind the 12-day war have yet to be addressed by international mediators. U.S. President Donald Trump gave the war the name the 12-day war after he created the ceasefire arrangement, and this 12-day war has yet to be addressed by international mediators. Defense Minister Israel Katz has ordered the IDF to develop a long-term strategy to counter Iran following Israel's major successes in the 12-day operation, which Israel has coined Rising Lion. During the campaign, Israel conducted more than 1,500 air missions and hit more than 900 critical targets across Iran, including uranium enrichment sites at the Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan missile production centers, military airports, and command hubs. The IDF achieved complete air superiority throughout the operation, flying over 2,400 kilometers to strike away at the northeast city of Mashhad, destroying 15 enemy aircraft and more than 80 surface-to-air missile launchers while losing no manned aircraft. Every pilot came home to Israel, despite estimates assuming that some 30% would be shot down and killed. Israel successfully eliminated the head of Iran's IRGC aerospace force and 11 senior nuclear scientists, crippling Iran's missile command and severely delaying its nuclear weapons program. Israeli forces also destroyed thousands of centrifuges, 35 production sites, and approximately 200 missile launchers, about 50% of Iran's total launcher capacity, significantly setting back Iran's ability to stockpile missiles in the next 2 years. Despite Iran's response of firing more than 500 ballistic missiles and 1,100 drones, Israel's air defense systems intercepted 65% of incoming threats, though it usually intercepts 90% for other types of rockets, protecting key infrastructure while mobilizing 26,000 reservists. These ballistic missiles were really overwhelming Israel's defense system, and that's why so many hit down, including the missile that hit down on my personal apartment. The IDF has declared that Operation Rising Lion removed the immediate existential threat from Iran. And yes, Israel has been living with an existential threat from Iran for decades. This demonstrated Israel's decisive military capability and sent a clear message that no threat will enjoy immunity. Staying on Iranian affairs, more than 70 prisoners were killed in an Israeli strike on the Evin prison just days ago on June 23rd, 2025. The prison is located outside of Tehran and is Iran's most notorious prison. It houses political prisoners in its penitentiary, anyone who's opposed to the Islamic regime and their policies, basically. Evin prison holds a number of foreign nationals, including 2 French citizens who've been detained for 3 years there. Some of the prisoners have been held ever since it's opened in 1979. If that date sounds familiar to you, ding, ding, ding. It's because the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, which today runs Iran with an iron fist, took over in 1979 through a bloody coup. In this year, the country was rolled back to Islamic Sharia law, reinstated child marriage, unequal treatment of women, and started changing the country from a progressive nation to a repressive nation. Now, let's move on to Syria. Israel and Syria are moving forward with negotiations to end decades of hostilities through the discussions currently focused on limited security arrangements rather than a full peace agreement. Well, that's a start. Syrian officials under the new Islamist leadership have shown interest in normalization, but are not demanding the return of the Golan Heights, instead seeking Israeli troops to withdraw from southern Syria and get a formal recognition of their new regime. Now, that's very interesting. Israeli officials made it clear that the Golan Heights will remain part of Israel regardless of any deal. The United States is leading the mediation, with President Trump playing a key role, and both Israel and the U.S. seeing this as a potential step toward expanding regional peace agreements. This is a big deal because the big issue with Syria is that they have wanted their land, or their previous land, which Israel won through the 1967 war. They want that land back. So the fact that that's off the table is quite a big deal. Throughout the past week, Israeli forces have been carrying out operations deep inside southern Syria, targeting threats near the border. According to the IDF, reservists from the Alexandroni Brigade arrested several suspected terrorists and seized weapon caches during these raids. Since the Assad regime's collapse in December, Israeli troops have established 9 positions within the UN-monitored buffer zone, pushing up to 15 kilometers into Syrian territory to prevent advanced weapons from reaching hostile groups at the border. So that's for the Syrian front. We're going to get through all of the fronts that Israel is fighting right now. Defense Minister Israel Katz is instructing the security establishment to prepare for a major military campaign against the Houthis in Yemen. Political sources say this preparation may be the reason behind Prime Minister Netanyahu's request to postpone his trial hearings this week, which, by the way, U.S. President Trump is calling on Israeli officials to totally remove the case or the entire trial to begin with. On Saturday morning, the IDF reported a ballistic missile was launched from Yemen towards southern Israel, and air raid sirens sounded in Beersheba and the surrounding communities. While the military did not give details about this interception, it says that the missile was likely intercepted by Israeli air defenses. Now on to Gaza. A rocket was launched from the central Gaza Strip into Israel Friday evening. It was intercepted by the Israel air defense systems. The IDF says no sirens were triggered in nearby towns since the rocket was headed toward an open area near the border where alerts were activated instead of sirens for those communities. There were no reported injuries or damage in this incident, but it goes to show that there is still a presence of fighting in Gaza. They have not been entirely defeated, and rockets are still being launched from the Strip. During a visit to the Gaza Strip with senior commanders, IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir said Israel's recent strikes on Iran during the 12-day war may help accelerate its objectives in Gaza. He said, quote, Iran suffered a significant blow and that it may help us advance our goals here. Zamir noted that the military is close to reaching the territorial lines set for the current phase of Operation Gideon Chariots, which aims to secure control of over 75% of Gaza. He added that once those objectives are met, the IDF will present new operational options to the political leadership. He reaffirmed the military's determination to press forward until its two central goals are achieved in Gaza. That's the release of the hostages and the defeat of Hamas. Veteran Hamas operative and October 7th mastermind Hakem al-Issa was eliminated in an airstrike in Gaza City over the weekend. The IDF said that Issa was a central source of knowledge. He was also one of the last senior operatives of Hamas who held a high-level position and remained in Gaza after October 7th, because a lot of these individuals in Hamas, they left Gaza. They went to go take refuge in Qatar, which is negotiating the agreement between Hamas and Israel, and a lot of people take issue with that. So this individual who was just taken out, he was in fact remaining in Gaza and was one of the last. 7 Israeli soldiers were killed in Khan Yunis, Gaza, when a terrorist planted an explosive device on their armored personnel carrier, setting it ablaze and trapping the soldiers inside. The soldiers who died were Lieutenant Matan Shai Yashinovsky, who is 21, from Kfar Yona; Staff Sergeant Ronel Ben Moshe, 20, from Rehovot; Staff Sergeant Niv Radia, 20, from Eliakim; Sergeant Ronen Shapiro, 19, from Mezkaret Batia; and Sergeant Shachar Manoav, 21, of Ashkelon; Sergeant Mayan Baruch Perlstein, 20, from Eshar; and Sergeant Alon Davidov, 21, from Kiryat Yam. All of these young people died in the line of duty, and separately, Sergeant Israel Natan Rosenfeld, 20, from Ra'anana, was killed on Sunday by an explosive device in northern Gaza during operations in Kfar Jabalia. Rosenfeld had immigrated to Israel from London as a young child. As the fighting continues, Israel's military death toll in Gaza reaches 441, while Israel is actively working to negotiate a ceasefire and a hostage deal as heavy casualties and ongoing battles persist across the Strip. We send our heartfelt condolences to the families and communities of those soldiers who've died between Wednesday and Sunday. The Israeli government has approved the immediate return of residents to 7 of the Gaza border communities most devastated by the October 7th Hamas attack, following essential renovations and, of course, the removal of military restrictions. That means that people who have been outside of their homes for almost a year and a half are about to go back. This is a really big news story. Residents of Re'im, Kerem Shalom, Nir'im, Ein Hashlosha, Sufa, Ner Yitzchak, and Netiv Hasara can return starting Tuesday, while subsidies for alternative housing will end on July 31st for those who choose not to go back. Additional communities, including Nahal Oz, Kisufim, Cholit, Kfar Aza, and Be'eri, are expected to reopen through phases in 2026. Kibbutz Nir Oz, where terrorists attacked nearly every home and kidnapped or murdered a quarter of the population, has no return date since its 350 million shekel rehabilitation project has only just begun. That's about $104 million to rehabilitate those communities. Many residents who were evacuated from these kibbutzim face severe mental, emotional, and financial challenges, with local leaders emphasizing that true rehabilitation extends beyond physical reconstruction. Ongoing IDF operations in Gaza continue to shake nearby Israeli towns, with heavy airstrikes causing persistent structural damage, even to recently repaired homes. This is ongoing because of the proximity between Gaza and the Otef Aza, or the Gaza envelope communities. As of now, 50 hostages remain in Gaza. 27 of them are believed to be dead bodies. The IDF says that on Wednesday evening, dozens of Israeli civilians set fire to property in a Samaria village, or West Bank village. You can call it the West Bank or Judea and Samaria. And this triggered clashes with local Palestinians. The confrontation escalated into mutual rock throwing. And in response to the unrest, IDF and Israel police forces were dispatched to this scene to restore order. During the violence, an IDF officer was lightly injured by rocks and got medical treatment. According to the IDF, shortly afterward, gunfire and additional rock throwing were directed at the security forces from within the village. Soldiers responded with live fire toward the sources of the attacks, and the IDF says that hits were identified, and later reports indicated that several individuals were injured and some were killed in this incident. 5 Israeli subjects involved in the initial arson were arrested at the scene and handed over to the Israeli police for further investigation. In other news from this area, there was a huge bust in Hebron. The Israeli military and security agencies uncovered an extensive Hamas terror network in the mixed Palestinian Jewish city of Hebron and subsequently arrested more than 60 Palestinian terrorists. This was the largest anti-terror operation in the West Bank in a decade. Most of the men who were picked up had been imprisoned before, though they didn't actually carry out attacks at this time. 22 firearms and 11 grenades were uncovered during this bust. Some of today's news was powered by our partner, Bernie News Network, or BNN. For fast and precise updates, you can join BNN on WhatsApp and Telegram at their website, bernie.news. I want to thank all of you for your interest in Israeli affairs, Israeli politics, our world politics. I also want to thank all of you who personally finance and fund the Israel Daily News podcast with monthly contributions. You can support us by going over to our new website, israeldailynews.org, and clicking on donate. The Patreon link is over there, and you can send us a monthly donation using the Patreon link. There's also an option for a one-time donation. Our organization is operational thanks to listeners and supporters like you. Thank you to Marianne Vollinger for her monthly support. And thank you to all of you who have been supporting us and trying to help us get new equipment at this time. I'm using old equipment to report to you, and a makeshift place, a makeshift location. Everything is upside down. I've regressed to equipment that I used 5 years ago, and I'm trying to make it work with my systems and processes from today. So thank you for your patience at this time. In response for your contributions, I'll send over a handwritten thank you note to show my appreciation. But please do get me your address so that I can send that. Follow us on social media at israeldaily.news. We are on X, YouTube, TikTok, and on Instagram. Our page is about 38,000 followers at this point. We had a big jump. You can also follow my personal page at Shanna Fold. My name has 2 N's in it, and I'm very sensitive about that. The BBC, Britain's broadcaster, apologized for not cutting off the live stream of Bob Vylan's Glastonbury performance, where the duo led chants calling for the death of the IDF. Did you see those clips?
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Alright, but have you heard this one though? Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF.
They're circulating on Instagram, showing this band with thousands in the crowd, all chanting along with them, chanting death to the IDF. It's sparking widespread criticism, including the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The broadcaster admitted that its on-screen warning was not enough and said that the hateful comments should never have been aired for all to see. The BBC pledged to review its policies for handling live broadcasts to prevent similar incidents in the future, and then did not make the performance available after the live stream. Glastonbury organizers condemned the anti-Israel chants, stating that hate speech and incitement to violence have no place at the festival. Meanwhile, some festival attendees were able to raise awareness about the 1,200 people who were killed on October 7th in Israel, as well as awareness for the hostages held by Hamas in Gaza at the current moment. And of course, they used the music festival to honor victims of the Nova Music Festival, where hundreds of people were killed by Hamas while they were trying to party at a music festival, much like the festival that was put on and televised by the BBC, similar to the one that this anti-Semitic music group was playing at. During the June 2025 Iranian missile attacks on Israel, 28 people tragically lost their lives. I'm now going to name them. Etty Cohen Engel, 74, from Ramat Gan, was a medical pedicurist known for her humor and playful spirit. Israel Aloni, 73, a beloved barber from Rishon LeZion, was known for his kindness. Yevgenia Blinder, 74, also from Rishon LeZion, was a dedicated surgeon and geriatric specialist. In Tamra, an Arab-Israeli city in the north, 4 women were killed from the same family. Manar al-Heja Khatib, 45, a respected teacher. Her daughters, Shada Khatib, 20, Hala Khatib, 13, and her sister-in-law, Manar Diab Khatib, also a teacher. In Bat Yam, Anastasia Nastia Borik, that was her nickname, was 7 years old. She was a Ukrainian cancer patient. She died alongside her mother, Maria Peshkorova, 30 years old. Her grandmother, Olena Peshkovora, 54, and her cousins, Ilya Peshkovora, 14, who loved to have adult conversations, and Konstantin Tutevich, 10 years old, who enjoyed playing in children's groups. Over in Bat Yam, again, Efrat Saranga, 44, was an art graduate known for her laughter and her inner beauty. Michael Mickey Nahum, a 61-year-old devoted father and clothing store manager. Meir Miron Vaknin, 56, a maintenance worker and soccer fan, and Belina Bella Ashkenazi, Bella was her nickname, 94 years old and a Holocaust survivor. She was a former model. All of the names that I just named were killed in Iranian ballistic missile attacks. In Petah Tikva, Daisy Yitzhaki, 85-year-old, was an Iraqi immigrant to Israel. She was a loving grandmother. And Yvette Smilowitz, 95, a Romanian Holocaust survivor, known for her resilience and stylish flair, died alongside Hadassah Bello, a 77-year-old, along with her husband, Yaakov Bello, 77 as well. They were both killed in their home by Iranian missile attacks. In Bnei Brak, Avraham Cohen was 75 years old. He was a friendly and optimistic neighbor. He was also killed. 3 oil refinery workers in Haifa died, including Igor Fradkin, 50, a father of 6, Uri Levy, 58, a dedicated family man, and Daniel Avraham, 59, known for his optimism and generosity. In Beersheva, Naomi Shanan, 73, a retired librarian and peace activist, died with Michal Zaks, 50 years old. She was a devoted mother, and her son, Corporal Eitan Zaks, 18 years old. He was an off-duty IDF soldier with a kind heart at the time of his death. His girlfriend, Noah Bogoslavsky, 18 years old. She was a high school senior, remembered for her humor and warmth. Each of these lives that were lost carry a unique story and a deep loss for their families and communities. All right, well, that is it for today's show. Today is Monday, June 30th, 2025. Tel Aviv has a low of 24 degrees Celsius and a high of 30 degrees. That's 76 degrees Fahrenheit for the low, going up to 85 degrees for the high. We are everywhere. Don't forget to sign up to our Israel Weekly News Wrap. The Israel Weekly News Wrap is a newsletter with the top 5 stories coming out of Israel from throughout the week. And of course, with a personal note from me at the top. You can sign up for that at israeldailynews.org. I'll send you off now with a song called Livchor Nachon by Idan Tamler, Morty Weinstein, and Nicole Raviv. Enjoy this song. Let it uplift you. And have a great and productive day and an excellent week. Shavua Tov, everyone.
בסוף הכל מתנקז אליי, עניין של זוויות. אני לא מבין רמזים אולי, צבעים ואותיות. מבט חטוף אל עצמי ודי, רק לא להסתכל. מה שבפנים כבר בפנים מדי, קוראים לזה הרגל. מתי אלמד לבחור נכון, להאמין, לראות שטוב, בלי להביט שוב לאחור, לבחור נכון.
אותו הכל מדבר אליי, פוגש בי בלילות, הולך מבלי להבין לאן, האם אדע לחזור, מבט חטוף מסביב ודי, יותר כבר לא אפול. יש ילד שמסתכל אליי, קוראים לזה לגדול. מתי אלמד לבחור נכון, להאמין, לראות שטוב, בלי להביט שוב לאחור. מתי אלמד לבחור נכון, להאמין, לראות שטוב, בלי להביט שוב לאחור, לבחור נכון.
בסוף הכל מתחבר אליי, עניין של חלומות. אם אתעורר בדיוק בזמן, אולי אוכל לזכור. בדוק יש מי ששומר עליי, נותן לי את הכוחות. עוד לא מצאתי תשובה אבל קוראים לזה לחיות. מתי אלמד לבחור נכון, להאמין, לראות שטוב, בלי להביט שוב לאחור, בלי להביט שוב. מתי אלמד לבחור נכון, לבחור נכון, להאמין, לראות שטוב, בלי להביט שוב לאחור, לבחור נכון, לבחור נכון, לבחור נכון, לבחור נכון.